Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to Hangar A7, where we're doing a brand new private pilot series with CFI, CFII, MEI, and everything else. Austin Vaden, owner of Up Aviation Flight School. Hello, Austin. How are you?
Good. How are you, Greg?
Fine, buddy. Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming. I think this show's gonna be a good show.
I would hope so. I think it's going to be very informational, along with providing some of the guidelines to getting your private pilot's license.
Exactly. So what we're going to do in this series, it's our goal, is to take the mystery out of getting your private pilot's license. Right?
That's correct.
Okay, so let's start with task A, the required hours that a pilot needs to get his primary license.
Yeah, so Greg, task A is the very beginning of the ACS for the private pilot.
Excuse me, are there several tasks, like A, B, and C?
There are.
Okay, so this is task A, hours.
Task A, one of the sections of task A is the requirements for the private pilot's license.
All right, talk to me.
All right, so the requirements for the private pilot's license requires you as a student to get 40 hours of total time, including 20 hours of dual given. That includes 3 hours of getting your instrument, 3 hours towards your cross-country instruction, 3 hours towards your check ride prep. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It also includes 3 hours of nighttime. All right? There's 10 hours of solo as a student flying by yourself with no passengers. That includes 3 takeoffs and landings at a towered airport, 5 hours of cross-country flying. That includes a 150 nautical mile total distance flight.
Okay, and so this cross country, do you have to do it with an instructor or do you do it by yourself?
So the dual given of 20 hours, you've got to do 3 hours of cross-country, which is just 50 miles. It's not going from North Carolina to California. It's just 50 miles.
50 nautical miles.
50 nautical miles.
As opposed to a statute mile.
Yes.
Which we'll get into the difference
in another video.
Because there is a difference, right?
There is a big difference about
Okay.
statute and nautical.
Okay.
And then the other cross country is the solo part, where you've got to do at least one that is 150 nautical mile total distance with 3 different airports.
3 legs, right?
3 legs.
So, for example, it'd be like Greensboro to Charlotte. You wouldn't go to Charlotte, though, would you?
You could go to Charlotte.
As a student, though, you'd have to be able to be signed off that Class B, right?
And signed off, you mean endorsed.
Endorsed. Yes. So then, for example, the easiest would be like Greensboro to Johnson County, KJNX,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps to KTTA, and back to Greensboro.
That's correct.
Okay, very good. So 3 legs, that gives you your solo cross country.
That's one of the requirements for the private pilot's license.
Okay. And then there's 10-hour solo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what about that nighttime flying? You got to do some stop and goes or 10 landings or something. What is it? How does it work?
Yeah, Greg. So how it works is you got to do 10 takeoffs and landings to a full stop or a stop and go. What the stop and go means is that you can land on the runway, come to a complete stop, and then take back off, or you can do a full stop, taxi back to the beginning of the runway.
Very good. So it's 10 takeoff and landings, full stop.
That's right.
So if you have a long runway, like Greensboro, 10,000 feet, you can stop and take off because you have enough, right?
That's right. But don't forget another night requirement for the 3 hours is that you've got to do a 100 nautical mile total distance night cross country with an instructor.
With an instructor. So like from here to Asheville.
Here to Asheville back to Greensboro.
That would cover it.
That would cover it.
All right. Is there anything else that we're forgetting for your flight time requirements for private pilots?
Just as a reminder for the instrument, you can either be in the actual clouds, or what happens usually is when you're with an instructor, they'll have you put certain glasses on that cover the outside, where you have to look at just the instrument panel.
Foggles. Not to be confused with goggles.
That's right.
Okay, so you have to have 3 hours of instrument training
That's correct.
with your
an
instructor. Can you go in the clouds?
You can go in the clouds with an instructor, but you have to make sure that you're filed an IFR flight plan with your instructor.
Understand. And your airplane has to be IFR capable.
That's right, IFR certified.
Okay. And then very quickly, before we end this video, we were talking about nighttime requirements. Can you please tell people in TV land when nighttime begins and when it ends, so we don't do this when it's still light outside,
Right.
technically.
Right. So there's 2 requirements that come to nighttime flying. The first, you might hear evening civil twilight. The second, Greg, you might hear morning civil twilight. That has to do with logging nighttime. So at the end of the evening civil twilight to the beginning of the morning civil twilight, you can log nighttime.
How do I know on my watch when that civil twilight
So
is?
what I normally do, Greg, with my students is that we look at the sunset time and add 30 minutes to get the civil twilight time. But there's also when you can log night landings. You can log night landings an hour after sunset to an hour before sunrise.
So the ForeFlight says the sun sets at 5:57. At 6:57, you can start your nighttime.
You can start logging night landings. And
1
if the
hour
sun,
later.
1 hour later. And if the sun sets at 5:57, you can start logging night time at 6:27 p.m.
I understand. Well, good. Is that everything?
I believe that's everything, Greg.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. And thanks for watching our very first episode of Aviation with Austin here at Hangar A7 at PTI Airport. Thank you. Bye.